Today we are doing chapter 3 of class 7th, that is data handling. So before learning about data handling, we have to learn what is data. So the first question is, what do you mean by data? Data is a collection of numbers gathered to give some information. For example, here we have a collection of numbers. So this picture shows a collection of number, and this collection of number gives some information. So what information it is giving? It shows the record of shoe size of 33 information. So it gives us information about the shoe size of 33 students. So data is a collection of numbers gathered to give some information. So here we have a collection of number which give us information about shoe size of 33 students. Now after collecting numbers, we have to learn the process of handling it. So this process of handling a data is known as data handling. So what is data handling? Data handling is a process of gathering means collecting and recording information, and then presenting it in a way that is meaningful to others. So data handling is a process in which we collect information, we record information, and after recording it, we present it in such a way that it is meaningful to others. So here we learn that there are 3 steps of data handling. The first one is collection of data. The second one is organization of data, or you can say the recording of data. And the third one is presentation of data. So let's move on to our first step of data handling, that is collection of data. Before collecting data, we need to know what would use it for. So before collecting data, you have to know the purpose behind it or where you are going to use it. For example, we keep a record of performance of students in curricular and co-curricular activities in a school. You always see that your teacher or subject teacher, they are always keeping a record of your performances in curricular as well as co-curricular activities. Why they are doing so? They are doing so because they want to study your progress in an academic year. So the purpose is to study your progress, and for this they are collecting data about your performance in curricular as well as co-curricular activities. So before collecting data, we need to know what would use it for. After the collection of data, the next step is organization of data. Why we are organizing the data? We organize data to get a particular information from the given data quickly. When we arrange data in a tabular form, then it becomes easy to understand and interpret it. So we are organizing data so that we can get a particular information quickly. After organizing it, it is very easy to understand the data. Let's see. So here I am again using the data which give us information about the shoe size of 33 students. Now I want to know about the shoe size which is worn by maximum number of students. By just looking at this data, we cannot give the answer to this question. We have to first go through this data, find out the shoe size which is worn by maximum number of students, and then we can answer the question. So it will take time, but I want you to answer it quickly. So if you want to answer this question quickly, then you have to first organize this data. After organization of data, now you can understand it quickly and easily. Here the first column represent the shoe size, the second one represent the tally marks, and the third one represent the number of student having this shoe size. So here 5 students have the shoe size 4, 8 have 5, 10 students having shoe size 6, 7 students having shoe size 7, and only 2 students have shoe size 8. So now you can easily understand this information. And now if I can ask the same question, that which shoe size is worn by the maximum number of students, then you can quickly give the answer that the shoe size 6 is worn by maximum number of students. So after organizing, so when we put the data in a proper table, then it is very easy to understand and interpret it. Now we have a data which shows a record of shoe size of 33 students, and I want to represent this shoe size of 33 students by a single value. I am repeating, I have a collection of so many numbers and I want to represent this whole collection by a single value. That single value is known as representative value. So our next topic is representative value. A set of observations which might range from a few measurements is represented by a single representative value. A set of observations. So we have so many observations and we are going to represent the whole set of observations by a single value. That single value is known as representative values. So the representative value can be average or arithmetic mean, it can be mod, or it can be mean. So right now we are going to learn about our first representative value, that is average or arithmetic mean. In the next session we talk about the other two representative values, that is mod and mean. So let's move on to our first representative value, that is arithmetic mean. So before doing any problem based on this arithmetic mean, we have to first understand it. To understand this in a better way, just look at the following example. Here Ajay studies for 4 hours, 5 hours and 3 hours respectively on 3 consecutive days. So here you have a record of studying hour of Ajay on 3 consecutive days. Now we represent these studying hour by a single value. So for this we have to find out how many hours does he study daily on an average. So we have to find out the average studying hour of Ajay. What does this average represent? So in this example, sometime he study for 4 hours, sometime he is studying for 5 hours, and sometime he studies for 3 hours only. So sometime he is studying 1 hour more than the previous day, or sometime he is studying 1 hour less than the previous day. So we want to distribute his studying hour equally in these 3 days. So how we can do this? We can do this by finding the average studying hour. So this average studying hour is the value which is distributed equally between these 3 consecutive days. So if we can say the studying hour of Ajay for first day is 4 hours, the studying hour of Ajay for second day is 5 hours, and the studying hour of Ajay on the third day is 3 hours. So if we want to represent this by a single value, then we can say the average studying hour of Ajay is 4 hours. So when we are seeking the answer of this question, that how many hours does he study daily on an average, or when we are going to find out the average studying hour of Ajay, then we are seeking for our first representative value, and that first representative value is arithmetic mean. So whenever we are trying to find out a representative value for his studying hour, then we are seeking the representative value arithmetic mean. Now here I am saying that the average studying hour of Ajay is 4 hours. How? So to know about it, we have to learn the definition of arithmetic mean and the formula for calculating arithmetic mean. So arithmetic mean is the most common representative value of a group of data. It is defined as follows: arithmetic mean, or you can say mean or average. Mean equals to sum of all observations divided by number of observations. So in the previous example we have observations 5 hours, 4 hours and 3 hours, and the sum of 5, 4 and 3 is 12 hours. And how many observations we have? We have 3 observations, so 12 divided by 3 equals to 4 hours. So the mean or the average studying hour of Ajay in the previous example is 4 hours, which can be calculated by using this formula of arithmetic mean. Now let's move on to another example. Here we are trying to find out the mean of first 5 whole numbers. So before finding the mean of first 5 whole number, we have to first find out our first 5 whole numbers. So whole numbers are those numbers which starts from 0. So our first 5 whole numbers are 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So here we have 5 whole numbers. So that means the number of observations is equals to 5. Now we have to find out the sum of all these observations. So the sum of 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4 equals to 10. Now mean equals to sum of all observations divided by number of observations. So sum of observation is 10, which is divided by 5, and then we get 2. So mean of first 5 whole numbers equal to 2. So in this way you can find out the mean of any set of given observations. Now just look at this example. Here we have the marks obtained by Arun and John in 4 different subjects, and we also have the average score or the mean score of Arun and John. So if we just look at the average score of Arun and John, then we find out that the average score is equal. So if we want to compare who is better, then we cannot say anything because their average score is equal. Now just look at the marks obtained by Arun in maths and social science. Arun scored 100 out of 100 in maths and social science, but his performance in the other 2 subjects is not very good. He scored less than 50% marks in these 2 subjects. On the other hand, if we compare the performance of John, then John scored highest marks in social science and he scored 45 marks in maths, which is less than 50%. So I just want to know that who performed better, Arun or John. So for this, our arithmetic mean cannot help us. So we need another measure for comparing their performances. So the another measure which is used here is known as range. Range is a measure of spread of set of observations. So how much our observations they are spread, that measurement is known as range. How to calculate range of a given set of data? So range can be found by subtracting the lowest observation from the highest observation. That is, range equals to highest observation minus lowest observation. So let's try to calculate the range of marks obtained by Arun and the range of marks obtained by John. So the highest observation among these four observations is 100 and the lowest is 20. So range of marks obtained by Arun is equals to 100 minus 20, that is 80. Now let's move on to John. The range of marks obtained by John is 80 minus 45, which is equals to 35. So the range of marks obtained by John is greater than the range of marks obtained by Arun. So we can say, although the average scores are same for both of them, but John is more consistent because he has a smaller range of score. So now let's try to calculate the range of following data. So here the following marks were obtained by 40 students in a mathematics test. So these are the marks obtained by 40 students in mathematics test, and you have to find out the range of the given data. So this is the data and you have to find out the range of this data. So for this you have to first find out the highest marks obtained. So highest marks is 9. Now find out the lowest marks obtained by students. So lowest marks is 1, and range is equal to highest observation minus lowest observation. So range equals to 9 minus 1. So the range of following data is 8. So in this way you can calculate the range of any set of given data.